But it didn't. For the last 4 weeks. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a gorgeous day. I'm a little casual today because I am going to Traverse City today. Just thought I would share. We'll see what happens. I'm going up with Amy Krug and company. So some of you might know what that means. So today is November 8th. We survived Tuesday. And I hope that everyone is feeling good. Feeling good about being a Rotarian. Let's proceed with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And please join me in the four-way test. Let me advance my slides of the things that Rotarians think, say, and do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And I would like to invite Michael J. Thorpe up, who's going to share inspiration and recognition of our veterans.
Thank you, President Ellen, and not to put fear into you, but please sit down. I remember Frank Di Lorenzo always saying, "Oh God." In Flanders fields, the poppies blow between the crosses, row on row. They mark our place in the sky. The larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago, we felt dawn, we saw sunset glow. Loved, and we were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with our foe. To you, from our falling hands we throw. The torch be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields. I always have a hard time reading that. Very emotional. I wanted to know a little bit more. You know, this is supposed to be, well, we're celebrating Armistice Day today, but it ain't anymore. Politicians decided that it needed to be a 3-day holiday. But today we're going to talk just a little bit about Flanders Fields, written during the First World War by Dr. John McCrae, who was also Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae. Dr. McCrae was inspired to write it in the back of an ambulance in May 1915, just before he presided over the funeral of a friend. Flanders Fields, by the way, is what the English call, just generally, World War I battlefields. Flanders Fields was any field where a man fell. The poem talks about the red poppies that seemed to grow in abundance over the graves of the fallen soldiers. A writer, first during the Napoleonic Wars, first noted that the poppies seemed to grow over the graves of the dead. They didn't know why, but there is a scientific reason for it. Bombs falling during the battle churn up the ground, leaving the poppy is one of the few things that can actually grow. Dr. McCrae didn't make it to Armistice Day. He died in January of 1918, like many soldiers in World War I, Civil War, World War II, not in battle. He died of pneumonia. On November 11th, originally Armistice Day, it is, by the way, the only American holiday that's dedicated specifically to the end of a war, the only one. And we know, if we remember anything about our history, we know exactly when it ended. In the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in 1918. Anybody know when World War II ended? Civil War? How about our revolution? Well, we know that one. We know that one. Now, I want to write, we've changed it. We now are memorialize everybody who ever served. This is our opportunity to thank those who served. Memorial Day is the day we remember those who gave their ultimate sacrifice. So today, we're going to recognize, I'm sorry to start out sad, the impact of that day, I think, is important. I don't think most of us realize that. My grandparents always thought about Armistice Day. They called it Armistice Day. It was Armistice Day to them. They lived through it. Yeah, we're great grandchildren, we don't live through it that much. But we can thank our fellow Rotarians. So you have some buttons to push here for me, and we're going to try to do this. The United States Armed Forces has 6 active service branches. So please stand when I call out for your service. Anybody who served in the U.S. Army, which was founded in 1784, please stand and accept our thank you. The second oldest service, the Coast Guard, founded in 1790. Do we have any Coast Guard veterans here? Well, we used to. I know we used to. The United States Navy, founded in 1794. Do we have any naval veterans with us today? Our club is getting small. We used to have one of everything. How about the Marine Corps? Do we have any Marines here, founded in 1798? No Marines. United States Air Force was founded in 1947. Do we have any Air Force veterans? Okay, well, I'm almost sure we don't have any Space Force veterans. And 10 years ago, if I'd have said that, you'd have thought I was getting ready to do a joke, right? Space Force, founded in 2019. All right, and there are 2 more uniformed services in the United States, just so you know, the U.S. Public Health Service and the NOAA Commission Officer Corps. I don't know if you do that or not, but let's hear it for everybody that's sitting and thank you for this young man. I had to longer than I usually.
Too long. Oh, no, thank you, Michael. Just out of curiosity, you don't have to stand, but raise your hand if you have a parent or grandparent that served. Look at that. All right. So we thank them for their service and all of our Rotarians who served as well. Okay, we're gonna have a few more minutes for conversation and then we'll get to our program. So please enjoy your lunch and we'll be back shortly. Muted. I hope Andy could hear all of that. Oops, sorry about that. Health and welfare, does anyone have any health and welfare reports? Anne Marie?
Just Howard Downing isn't with us. He broke his collarbone.
Thank you for sharing. Anyone wants to reach out to Howard, I'm sure he'll be glad to get some cheering up. Here's somebody asking about Bob Zabilski. I talked to him maybe a month ago. I don't know if anyone's talked to him any more recent, but he's doing well, but he said he's just still not quite ready to come back in person. But he was in very good spirits and does intend to come back to Rotary. Yeah, he's at home. Yeah.
I talked to him about 2 weeks ago and
Oh.
basically the same thing you said.
Okay, all right, good. Just a reminder that Monday is Veterans Day and there's a breakfast that the Fenton Rotary Club is hosting. I do not know if it's full yet, so if you still have an interest, please reach out.
I think it's still open, but it's
Okay.
174 folks signed up already.
Okay, I know it's very well attended. So it sounds like it's not too late. It's at the community center in Fenton. So if you are inclined and would like to attend, you can RSVP by calling or emailing Scott. And if you need this information after today, just reach out. I can send it to you. All right, we have the 50-50. I think Nick's doing that. Oh.
Thank you.
We also have a few extra things to raffle today. So we'll do the money first and then I'll let you know what the rest is.
I got the money. I'm here giving it out. Carrie.
Just one.
736172. Yes.
She's loving Rotary already.
736243.
There we go.
Oh, Rob Bennett.
Rob Bennett.
This is great. You told me to do anyway.
And first place.
Seven 736-225. All right.
It's a great day to be the guest speaker at Rotary. Okay, so, yeah, don't go away. So, Anne Marie, brought, a letter from the FIM, as part of, because we are donors. Rotary is a donor to the FIM. It's part of the money that the philanthropy committee gives out to organizations. And so we've been a longtime supporter. And so in recognition of that, we received some VIP parking passes, 3 complimentary valet valet, and then 1 parking pass for a super secret parking area. Just kidding. So I have the information about where they can be used, but we're gonna go ahead and raffle those off. So they're for anybody who has tickets to a show, either at the Whiting or at the Capitol Theater. So,
Join this poll number.
yep.
All right.
We've got 4 items.
Good one.
to raffle.
Seven.
So, wait.
Oh,
We're gonna start with the valet passes, and then the last item will be the Encore Club parking pass.
736165. Right.
And if you are planning to go to a show, now you'll need to pick one out.
736-222. Okay, Brian. And, oh, here's a good bet one. 736-163.
Two Joes.
One more.
Yep, the Encore Club parking pass.
736-151.
No, really?
Wow, that That's the lucky table. All right, thank you so much. So just a reminder, our giving to the club is how we're able to support the organizations in the community. So this is a philanthropy month, as far as Rotary goes, although really truly every month is philanthropy month, but just, you know, in terms of the return on our investment as Rotarians, there's wonderful programs at the FIM and all the other places that we've supported, and we are going to do a presentation on that at an upcoming meeting. But this, you know, we're grateful the FIM is able to recognize its donors like this, and it's important for us as Rotarians to feel good about the charitable giving that we're doing through our membership. So thank you to all of you, and you know, just continue to think about the ways that you can do service to our community. And if you're inclined to continue supporting the Rotary Foundation, the Flint Rotary Foundation, Polio Plus, all of those things, that's, you know, that's another way to do service and to support the things that we believe in. So thank you so much. All right, I think we're ready for our speaker. I'll invite Elizabeth up. We'll do the introduction.
All right, thanks, President Ellen. And I'm really glad to be able to invite up in a moment here two people that I've had a chance to get to know through my work at Ruth Mott. That one of the best parts of my job is getting to meet people who really have a passion for service, for working alongside folks in our community to have you know, a brighter future. And two of the people that I've met that I wanted to have a chance to share with you today are Andrew Dunnigan and Matt Sulia, who are both from an organization called Forge Flint. Now, how many of you in here have ever heard of Forge Flint? All right, so I've got one table that is really familiar. And then, you know, 5 other tables that are going to become very familiar with a really phenomenal organization and some of the people who helped run it. Aaron's been the director of operations at Forge Flint's Garage since 2019. He also currently works for Northgate as the lead employee assistant coordinator. And so part of his role with that is helping employees navigate their journey to success. Matthew Sulia, he founded Forge Flint in 2012, where he currently serves as the executive director. Along with his work at Forge Flint, he also serves as the case manager in the Samaritas New Americans program. So he works with newly arrived refugees who are resettling here in the Flint community. And so he helps them get situated and feel a sense of welcome. So although that's not the focus of the presentation today, I want to lift that up in part because as Rotarians, we are part of a global organization. So extending that hand of global friendship is very much a part of what we as Rotarians are all about. So without any further delay, I want to invite up Matt and Aaron, and please help me and give them a warm welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks Elizabeth for invitation to be able to join you all today. And we're excited to be able to share a little bit about some of the great things that have been happening with Forge. But yeah, do you want to share a little bit about? No, yeah.
Good morning. Is it good morning? It's morning somewhere. All right, so I think this was actually your part, but I'll go.
Yeah, no.
Forge is a nonprofit that exists primarily. So Forge started to connect different organizations that's already doing really cool things to help people get to know each other. right? And instead of trying to reinvent the wheel of what needs to be done, how about we just find people that's already doing the work, connect them together so that that work can just grow from there. But through that partnership and relationship, we realized how much of a burden and a barrier transportation is in our community. I don't know if any of you ride the bus. No, all right, cool. But riding the bus is essentially one of the hardest things to do in our community. It's not like some of those bigger cities where you can catch a bus every 15 minutes to get where you need to go. You literally have to wait sometimes an hour just to get a ride to where you have to go. We all know how much time is valuable to us, but think how much valuable it is to people who have less income, less resources, less connections to people who can make things like that happen. Time becomes very essential. And so a lot of the people who we serve, their transportation is essential to every single thing that they do. How many of us have ever had a flat tire?
Yeah.
Just about all of us, right? How many of us lost sleep for that flat tire? Not many, it's kind of shaky over there, but essentially not many of us, right? Because we know at the end of the day, that is something that we can get taken care of. We have families who essentially can't. And so they're literally making decisions that go between, do I get that tire fixed, or do I get that repair did, or do I pay my bills? Do I pay my rent? Do I pay the car note for that car? So essentially, the thing in the work that we do at Forge Flint, or Forge Garage in particular, is a barrier or a bridge to help people get to where they need to be. I'll let Matt kind of tell you about the history of how Forge started.
So, back in 2012 was when, if we have pictures too, if you want to cycle through.
Let's see what's on there.
Yeah. So back in around 2012 is when Forge began. And, you know, as Aaron said, we kind of started just with a pretty broad approach of, you know, what's happening in the community, who's doing what kind of needs are there, but also what kinds of assets do we have here in the community? And, you know, how do we play a part in mobilizing, trying to fill in gaps, trying to just to be an active part of the ongoing work of serving our community and helping individuals' lives. So one of the things that we first began with back in those days was we hosted summer service projects where we would host like a picture like this, volunteer groups from over a dozen different states came. Actually, we had groups from Canada even come. Really over time, it was over thousands of young people that would come to Flint to be engaged with service projects, from home repairs all the way down to working with all kinds of various different partners in the community, other nonprofits. And so we kind of started there, and then as Aaron mentioned, over time we realized that, you know, a huge need that the community has, that there was a lot of like obstacles for families' lives was transportation. And, you know, how do we help, particularly in our community and in the United States, families to have access to reliable transportation? Some communities in other parts of the world, you know, you can just walk down the street to a bakery and your whole life is maybe insulated within a small area at time. But, you know, the way our societies are set up in our modern society, having a car is really an essential piece of the puzzle for flourishing. And so that kind of led to, you know, how do we address some of these concerns? And so we're in now, and fast forward a little bit, we're in year 5 of having our garage, and we've been growing and looking at different opportunities to continue to make further impact. And I'll have Aaron share a little bit about kind of the journey we've been on with the garage, and really the focus being helping families overcome those hurdles that are in their life on the road to flourishing. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So before starting the garage aspect of it anyway, started really small. At that time I was just on the board, and this vision kind of came up. What if we had a garage in a space to where we could just tinker on cars for people who really couldn't figure out how to get their cars fixed? And that's where it kind of started. And so our director at the time of the garage, Jason Lipscomb, just began to do that. So we searched all over. We got a grant to actually have a space. And we found a really cool spot that was surprisingly really cheap at the time and ready to go. Like, we didn't have to do anything in it. We started working on cars. I mean, we had to do a lot to it, but it wasn't raining enough on our head for us not to do work. And so we started doing that journey, and it would be just like maybe one car here and there, one car a month, one car every week. And we started looking at tracking and saying, how many cars are we actually doing? And I think in the first 2 to 3 years, we did about 50 cars, which for us was huge, right? We did 50 cars with like really no experience. Just having a space to where we can put your car
Lots
in
of
and do it.
volunteers.
A lot of volunteers. And so as that began to go, we realized that the need was so much greater than that. And we started envisioning, what would that look like if we could be open every day? And so over the course of 5 years, we probably did about 200 cars. This last year, God has blessed what we've been doing. We were able to add a full-time mechanic through grants and opportunities like that. And I just looked at the numbers today. We are this year at 254 cars, and we have saved families over $170,000. The cool thing about that is that's a lot of money. That is tremendous, right? But the cool thing about that, and one thing I realized that all of our families that we serve have in common, is that none of them have paid any labor or overhead costs, which is 80 to 85% of the repair anywhere you go. And so our families have come in with bills that are like, or estimates that were $6,700 and left out paying $600. And that's just for the parts, which are heavily discounted based on our relationship with our parts distributor. And so the work that we've been doing and trying to figure out how do we be most impactful with what resources we do have. And so we get to go to places like this, we get to share, and we get people that come up to us all the time and say, hey, I ain't a professional car fixer, but I know how to work a wrench. And so it's how we started, and it's how we like to continue to grow. And so we have a full-time mechanic, but we still want volunteers and mechanics to just come up. Listen, man, I know that we love to volunteer and we love being in those spaces, but I've probably had my share of like cookouts and dinners and things like that. And I would love a space where I could just go and do something that my wife tried not to let me do on my own. And so I get to come up without my wife, and I can turn wrenches, and then I can have somebody fix what I messed up, which is super cool. And so if anybody's looking for a space like that, we are always open. I mean, it's just a space that's open for men that care about the, and women.
We've had women, plenty of women.
Oh, we have.
volunteer
We
as well,
have.
yes.
Men was
Who are
a
mechanics,
general,
too.
never mind. All right, and so, but we do. So we're excited about where we are today and where we've come from, but much more excited about where we're going. And so the need is large, and it exists in all of our communities, all of our neighborhoods, and we're excited about tackling that as best we can.
Yeah, so as Aaron mentioned, this last year has been a really incredible journey for us, and a big step where I think the previous year we did around 100 cars in last year, and then with this new year, we're hoping to be right around potentially like 300 for the whole year. And so it's been obviously a huge growth for us, and partners like Ruth Mott Foundation and United Way, the Community Foundation, have helped us to be able to do that. And so we're just really incredibly grateful and thankful for our community partners and all of our donors and those who have helped us to get where we've been. Up until this last year, mostly we've been kind of just supported through private donation, through churches. But as we saw the need to kind of expand and take this next step, some of the partners have really stepped up for us in a huge way. And so now we're looking at the future now. Like this year has been a great year of growth. We've been learning all kinds of ways to improve our methodologies, and our things are really going very well at an incredible pace. But the reality is that there could be 15 or 20 of these garages in Flint, and it still wouldn't really touch the need in a sense. This need for transportation is just such an essential piece of the puzzle. And so we're looking at continuing to grow. And the current facility we have, we're getting ready to hopefully, install a new lift here shortly that will help us to have 2 different lifts in the garage. And that'll also empower us to look at potentially bringing on another full-time mechanic in the future. which, you know, we hope would continue to maximize our output. And another piece of the puzzle has been, our apprenticeship kind of programs that we've been getting started. And so, yeah, so part of the vision for the program over time is to be able to, here on the left is Cody, he's our full-time mechanic. And then basically like, our goal is to be able to really be a place where folks in the community can come and learn hands-on in apprenticeship to be able to become a mechanic. Because the reality is that, you know, a lot of jobs that are available there, people can get these jobs with a small amount of training and certification. Actually, the testing for state certification for different mechanic licenses is very affordable, it's very low. It's really just a matter of having the skill set and the experience and the knowledge. And so that's a very attainable goal for families. So what we've begun doing is having these courses and classes and ongoing hands-on apprenticeship that we are looking to continue to expand and grow over time, where we hope that you know, that'll be an asset and resource for individuals in our community who want to learn to become mechanics and see that as a way to secure employment and kind of move forward there.
Absolutely. Our projected number, like Matt talked about, is around 300 this year. With the impact being bigger than sometimes I think we realize. We've had single moms that just run up to us and hug us off guard, which is kind of disturbing a little bit. But with tears in their eyes saying that, thank you, I can continue to go to work to feed my kids. And for me, sometimes that doesn't register how important our vehicles is, because I know that I can take my car to our shop and our guy can get me together real quick. But for other people, that doesn't always exist. And so we work through a closed referral process, which means that we don't work on anybody car that just has the ability to pay and take it to a shop. We don't exist to take jobs or opportunities away from working garages in the community. We actually look forward to partnershiping with them in ways that for cars that we can't service. But we exist for families that are never going to a garage because they just can't afford it. So we work through a closed referral process. We partnership with different organizations, nonprofits mostly, Town, Family Promise, places like that, who are already invested in community, already invested in people's lives. And what we like to call ourselves is we're a resource for them. So if they send us a referral, we don't ask any questions. We call that referral, we get them in, and we try to get the repair done as quick as possible. Because we know that also going out without your vehicle for multiple days is also problematic. And so part of our philosophy is if we get you in on Monday, we hope to get you out on Monday as well. That doesn't always happen because of the nature of some repairs or the size of them, but we try to get families back in their vehicles as soon as possible. So we don't have to operate like other garages where we have to have 3 or 4 cars in a day to meet our overhead, because we're not charging families any overhead. And it works. It works. Our partners are doing great work. The people in Flint are doing great work. And we, like we talked about in the beginning, just want to support those efforts. So
yeah, that's a huge piece of the puzzle. Is we see ourselves, as Aaron mentioned, as teammates and partners with all kinds of great organizations that are doing great work, and we get to come alongside them and partner with them and strengthen the work that they're doing. And so, you know, if an organization is working with a family already, they have that relationship, they know the needs that are going on in that family's life, and you know, transportation just continues to come up. I'm in all kinds of meetings all the time for my other work that I do and other, you know, just community meetings. And it's whenever you get groups of folks who are engaged in the community together and talking about what the needs they see, you know, it's often is right at the top of the list, if not the first thing that people say is, you know, we just struggle with helping folks with transportation. And because that car just becomes just a gateway to so many more opportunities. And so one of the ways that we also are working to help those families is the car. Obviously, the clients we work that we do the repairs for, they have a vehicle. They come through one of our referring partners and through that referral process. But then there's also all kinds of families who don't have a car just to begin with. And One of our other programs is that we receive cars that are donated. Usually they're, cars that are, they've had a long life already maybe, but, they're in good working order. We also take cars that are not in good working order, and we can use those to help offset, kind of the ongoing expenses of the shop. But we take those cars and then we'll put, our own resources into them to fix them up, make them safe and reliable. And then we turn around and we'll sell cars to families that come through that referral process for $500. And so it's a flat, kind of one-time cost that helps to offset. Usually we put at least that much into it, but it helps to offset that cost for the repairs that need to happen. But it also gives a little bit of buy-in for the families, and it's something for them to have dignity in the process with, and feel like that they are contributing to what we do, because that's also a piece of the puzzle. Is so many of our families, like they want to give back themselves, they want to volunteer, they want to thank us in whatever way they can. And so that's another program that is a big part of what we do, that we're focused on expanding hopefully this next year pretty significantly.
And I think just the last thing is we talk about expansion and the need and how great it is in our community. We service all of Genesee County, so we get cars referrals from all over the place. And we get, if I could count the number of emails and phone calls we get from people who just heard about us. We try not to do anything news related. Well, we have in the past, and we realize we'll have to engage that now, but when they do an article or anything, I mean, we just get bombarded with people, and it kind of, it saddens us because our capacity is limited. And so we've had to turn down partnerships with the likes of like GHS and DHS, because we know that those are gates that once they're open, there are unlimited amount of people that are going to come through those. And so we don't like to do that, but also to make sure that we are doing our best job, then it has to be limited. And so as we look to expand, those are some of the things that we would love to do and begin to engage with, because we know that the need is so great. And we know we'll never solve the entire problem. But every time we solve one problem, I feel like we've done what God has called us to do. And so.
And we've seen, just the evidence of the impact on a lot of the lives of our clients. There's different folks that we think of who, when we first met them, maybe they were, trying to start their life over after coming out of being incarcerated, or they were, just in a tough spot. And then, we've seen the story kind of repeat, time and time again, where that car for them kind of became, a big part of the key for them having access to the resources to be able to really move forward and to flourish. Yeah. We'd be happy to answer any questions when we have. Yeah, sure.
Where's your garage located?
So the shop, we're over off of Pearson Road. Basically, if you know where Fox 66 and Channel 25 are, we're basically right across the street from there. We have a car lot that actually we purchased back when we bought the garage right next door. But the garage is there behind the car lot. Yeah.
If somebody has parts and accessories, would they want to donate? Just drop them off at the garage?
Yeah, potentially. I guess for us, it would be depending on what exactly it is.
Yeah.
Because we've learned that the hard way a little bit with some folks clearing out their storage unit. But yeah, we would love to take donations of all kinds of material. We have a lot of our tools that we have in the shop were things that were donated by individuals. Most of tool chests. All kinds of things that
our lift was donated.
Our lift is donated.
Our tire rotation machines and balancers. Just about everything we've got. I would say 85% of the stuff has been donated, which is good because we don't make any money. So I think I'm saying the question over here, then will come.
What is the process for getting a young person involved in that internship?
It's a good question. So that internship is ran. Matt kind of oversees the qualifications of that, or not qualifications, but just the entry of that. So we can give you a card and just connect with you personally. And yeah, we would love that.
Yeah, we have different cohorts that we start in the goal is that folks can come in and, you know, some like, Knox, who's one of the guys there who's been in a part of the program. He just, from when the time he was like 15, he's like, I want to be a mechanic. And we knew his parents, and so they came by and just, he's been coming basically on a, weekly
Yeah,
basis
every Thursday.
for over a
like
year.
last year.
And then he actually just got a job also working in another shop. And so it's kind of, you know, evidence of part of that impact. So, yeah, I mean, we'd be happy to, kind of share more details about like just contacting us. Hey, I know somebody who'd be interested, and being a part of the apprenticeship program, and then we can kind of steer them in the right direction.
I would imagine that sometimes the cost of parts can really add up. And also, you said that you sell the cars for $500. I don't know if people sometimes have cars towed in, and that could be expensive. Do you work with people? Do you take payments? Because that could really be an impediment, I would think.
So that is a huge impediment. And we just had a meeting today, just talking about engaging our partners more to be more on that line. Because of our limited amount of resources financially, we can't cover those costs. And so the only thing that we cover is labor and overhead. So if there's a car that needs to be towed in, like we used to be able to do that, but just we're limited into what we can do. And we know the need is great. And our hearts want to be able to engage in families to the highest level, right? But also our partners who we partnership with, and there's no cost for being a partner of Forward. So we don't ask our partners for anything other than engage with the family and be invested in that family's life. So when things like that happen, you help them navigate and figure those things out. Like that's the only cost that we're asking our partners to carry pretty much.
Yeah, so part of like our MOU that we have with those partners is that in the case of like, that they're referring a family to us, you know, if, like working with them through that process, and if it ever becomes something that, you know, are you willing to step up and also offer some assistance? And all the organizations that we work with are, and usually the families, you know, can come up with what is needed. And we talk to them about the process up front. We say, you know, we do the inspection, you know, we think you need struts and, you know, a new hub, and it's going to cost this much. And do you want us to move forward with it? And we engage a partner in that conversation as well, that, you know, is this something that you can afford? You know, do you want to hold off on it? Do you want to do it now? And so it's kind of part of, you know, the way we do things. Because we don't want to put people in a situation when all of a sudden they're like, well, I didn't know it was going to cost that much. But the good news is really, I mean, the parts are it can add up. But generally, because of the discount we have, I mean, I don't know that, I'm trying to think the most that anyone's ever paid, and it would have been for thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of work.
We've had some expenses. I think the most that any family has ever paid is around the $1,600 mark. But that was for a motor replacement. And I mean, can you imagine getting your motor replaced for $1,600? Right? And so you talk about the difference from $1,600 to potentially 15 grand, right? Because I've seen shops go up to that number. And so the smaller amount, our parts of a repair are probably about 15 to 20% of a repair cost is parts. All the rest of it is upcharge on parts, labor, overhead, shop supplies, all of which we don't charge for at all, right? And so you're literally just reimbursing us for what we've spent, if that makes sense. So we've seen people save significantly, and we've cut, you know, wherever we can. We had a guy come in, and this quote was for $6,700. I'll never forget this. And one of our mechanics who's a volunteer, the truck came in, it needed everything. I mean, when I say everything, I was like, this truck needs everything. And he was like, man, I just got one of those donated to me. Somebody just gave me that. I'll just give it to him. And we literally towed that truck to our shop, took the parts off of this truck, put it on this truck. And it was essentially him having a new truck at the end of the day and saving I think he ended up paying like $200 for gaskets and small things like that. So the thing about parts is they will find $200 to pay if they know they're going to save $1,700, right? And so that's kind of why we exist, to help them be able to save that, so that you're not having to make the choice of getting this car repaired or paying your mortgage. I think there was a question over here.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious, do you offer, in any way, maintenance services like oil changes and tires and things that people can come back to you and on that same sort of path?
So we do change tires. We're not a tire shop, right? And so we do have a balancer and a tire mount machine. So we do that. We don't have tires. So if a family brought us tires in, we would definitely do it, right? Because I understand the cost of that as well. Oil changes, we'll change oil changes if it's a job that we're doing that's related, right? So we have to change something that requires us to empty your oil, we'll change it at that perspective. But you don't really save much on oil. And then we still have to get rid of the oil and all of those things. So it's not really a cost savings thing. And so we don't typically do an oil change if you.
Yeah, it's actually cheaper usually for the clients to just go to an oil change shop and have it done than it is to do it through our shop because of the quantity and yeah.
On that note, do you do any kind of education with the owners of the cars so they understand what routine maintenance could do for the long term?
So we try, but you gotta realize like a lot of the families in which we serve are scraping by. And so they've been dealing with problems for 7-8 months and just like, I can't get that bid right now. And so by the time they actually get in, because things have stopped working, things have got a lot worse. And so we talked to people, for instance, last week, we brought a lady's car in and I can't forget what we were doing, but her oil was probably the first oil ever went in this car. Like it came out like peanut butter. And I'm like, okay, listen, you have to do these things. And she, said nothing about it. And I was like, okay, but these are some of the consequences that happen if you don't. Like these things are important. And I know in the moment, it feels like I can't afford this, but you really can't afford not to. And so we have that conversations with our clients. And if a lot of times our clients are already dealing with so many other issues or so many other hurdles or barriers that even that conversation is not something that they just need their car back so they can get back to B and C. And so unfortunately, we have those conversations, but they don't always listen. And now that lady has just called us again saying, hey, the thing that you said might happen, happened. And so now we gotta deal with that.
But we do our best.
We do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have real conversations. I tell you, we have real conversations with people and we love people sometimes in a I won't necessarily say a hard way, but we're upfront. Like if you bring your car and it's unsafe for us to fix, we're going to tell you this is unsafe. I can't let you spend this money. And we've had people that get mad at us and say, just fix my car. And I'm like, we cannot fix this car. Yes, we could do it and you could probably drive this car, but you're probably going to kill yourself if you continue to do it. And so we have those conversations and everybody don't always agree with it. But I tell people, we're not here to make money off you. We literally make $0. If we've done 1,000 cars since we've been open, nobody that's got their car did from us has paid us anything. Maybe lunch, because we don't turn down lunch if you bring it. But we make $0. So there's zero chance we're trying to manipulate or get over on you to do more repairs for you.
Thank you so much. That is good work. I certainly can identify, I remember having a family car that, I don't know if butterfly valves are still a thing in cars, but, I'd turn the car off wherever I was. I'd have to find somebody to come over, and if they weren't comfortable sticking their finger in there while I started the car, I would do that and have them crank it for me. And that went on for quite a while till we could afford to get the car fixed. So, and that's a minor thing compared to some of, I'm sure, what you see at your shop. So that's very inspiring, and transportation is a huge deal in this community. So we're glad you're here. So thank you for joining us in appreciation for your presentation today, a donation has been made in your name to Rotary International to support the global eradication of polio. Thank you. Just a reminder, we're trying to get dues all rectified by November 15th. If you have not turned in your dues for this year's membership, please contact Amy or me or Joe, and we can help you with that. And we have that form, so if you lost it, don't worry, we can help you out. So just a reminder, we've got like another week or so. I want to thank Michael Thorpe today for your inspiration on poppies and Armistice Day, and Elizabeth Jordan for our speaker introduction. Vic George, thank you for setup and takedown. And Dawn Hibbard is taking our bulletin notes. Becky Millsap had to leave early, but she did registration. Andy has been our only Zoom person today, so he gets credit for Zoom host. And on Becky, last night she was a nominee for the Claire White Award with the Flint and Genesee group. So she was there with her team and honored as a nominee. And I did take a picture of her group, but she's not here, so maybe next time I'll embarrass her and throw it up there. So, and we'll find our treasurer. So good work. Reminder again, Economic Forum will be on December 13th, and it will be here, not at U of M Flint. More to come on that. If you can volunteer, reach out to Anne Marie. And that's a wrap. Have a wonderful weekend, and we're adjourned.
Yeah.